Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Fields McCormick and welcome back to Madden Mobile. Now, as you can see on your screen, 91 overall Phenoms are finally here. This means that by grinding the Phenoms event, you can get 91 overall players that are perfect to go into those LTD sets. This will get players like Calvin Johnson up to 91. Several other of the evolvable players can now go from 90 up to 92 by using this 91 overall player. These are really easy to get. Grind out those Sunday events, grind out the live events to get you the 5 to 10 badges. When you get these on Thursdays, you can easily get one of these guys. If I can manage to get this Daniel Jones, which I'm going to try and grind for today, you'll see gameplay of that on the channel either today or tomorrow. Now, I haven't had a chance to take a look at their stats just yet. I wanted to save the excitement and the reveal for the video. So, without further ado, let's get into their stats. Alright, so first we're going to take a look at the 91 overall 40 power cornerback, Needham. Alright, he's a slot cornerback with 87 speed, which is pretty good. That is one lower than Julio Jones' Field of Fear card. He has 65 strength. That's pretty low, I'm not going to lie. 65 strength is not that good, but corners usually don't have strength above 80. 87 agility, 87 acceleration, those are pretty good. He's very agile, he can pick up speed, and he's got that 87 speed behind him, so that's a bonus. 81 awareness is pretty low. Usually you see awarenesses in the high 80s, low 90s for good corners. He's going to have some trouble reading deep routes. 81 tackle is alright. 91 man is really good. 85 zone is alright. And then 85 press is not too bad. So this is not the best corner by a long shot. The first 91 overall Phenoms defensive player looks pretty good. I personally won't be going for him unless I'm going for him to put him into a set for one of the evolvable players like Calvin Johnson. He's not a bad card. He'll be a great improvement if you've got some lower elites, maybe 83, 84, 86, that range of elite corners. He does have pretty low tackle comparatively, pretty low awareness, and those are going to be a big factor with this guy because that awareness is what makes or breaks a corner, in my opinion. The higher their awareness is, the more likely they are to be able to read those deep routes, the more likely they are to be able to read what the quarterback's trying to do. The better they can read the footwork associated with the running backs, associated with the receivers they're trying to cover. 81 just isn't enough, in my opinion, to guarantee that they'll be able to make the reads that they need to stop the big plays. So Needham has really good man coverage. He's got decent speed, a little on the low side. 87's nothing to complain about though. 87 agility, 87 acceleration are all pretty good. 85 zone is pretty good. It's not a 90 plus stat, but as a slot corner, you're expecting a higher man than zone. And then 85 press is all right. All in all, he's decent. I personally won't be going for him, like I said, unless I'm going to put him into a set for Calvin Johnson Limited or another limited player like that. Phenoms are up-and-coming players that are talented and admired in the NFL for their potential on the field. So yes, the Phenom series honors younger players that have a lot of promise and a lot of talent in the league. We've seen some really good players in the past. The O guard that we saw for the Bears a couple of weeks back was an amazing player. Jake Butt, my current tight end, actually, is one of the best tight ends in the game right now. Of course, when the NFL 100 tight ends drop in a couple of weeks, that's probably going to change. But for now, Jake Butt is a really good option. Needham here is a high overall at 91, but unfortunately, a lot of his coverage stats, a lot of his basic defensive stats just don't hit the mark, in my opinion. For that reason, I don't think he's a great addition to a defense unless you really need to improve your corners. And if you do, go for him. Like I said, 87 speed isn't bad. It's one less than Julio Jones. So he's able to keep up with most receivers. He's probably going to have trouble chasing down running backs because all the NFL 100 running backs have 92 speed. Chris Johnson has that 90 speed. You've got a lot of other receivers like Signature Series Brandon Cooks with 91 speed. There's a Tyreek Hill out there with 92 speed. There's a lot of receivers that are going to be able to burn Needham deep. And that's part of where the problems are going to come into play for this guy. He's not a huge addition to a team, in my opinion. It's still really cool to see him get a Phenoms card. I'm glad that they gave him this. But I would have liked to see a little bit higher speed on him, especially now that we have that 87 team of the week corner that has 94 speed. which is, I believe, the highest speed in the game right now. And I would almost take that 87 over him just for that speed boost. I don't remember what his awareness was offhand, but having 81 awareness for Needham is going to make it a lot harder for him to successfully read those routes over and over and over. And there's going to be a lapse in awareness. There's going to be a lapse in coverage, and that's going to burn you on those deep routes. So for that reason, I would say stay away from Nick Needham unless you just really need a new corner. In that case, get him, put him on your team, and then when you have a chance to get somebody better or somebody with higher awareness, swap him out and put him in a limited set or something else. And now for the one that I'm kind of excited about, actually. Daniel Jones from the New York Giants. Now, he has had some trouble recently, and they are starting Eli back, which honestly I'm kind of glad to see. Even though Eli hasn't put up the greatest numbers, I am an Eli fan. Personally, I think that the Manning brothers both are Hall of Fame bound. Peyton Manning, no doubt, and then Eli's going to come up behind him. Probably within a few years of his retirement, maybe not first ballot, but within first 2 or 3 years of eligibility, I definitely think that Eli is going to get into Canton. He's putting up some really good stats in his career. He's kind of dipped off recently, and Daniel Jones has been able to step up, and that's where Daniel Jones' card actually comes into play right here. So, Daniel Jones is a 91 overall quarterback, the first offensive Phenoms player to hit 91. He has 40 power. Once he's evolved up, he has a shot at 40 power. You would initially get him at 10 power, which is one of the other problems with these guys, is they do start off at 10 power, and by the time you evolve them up to that 20, 30, or 40 power, depending on how lucky you get, then you could have almost gotten a quarter of another Phenoms player. So that's another reason that these guys are really good for those limited sets where you just need to evolve an already really good card like Calvin Johnson. Just throw one of these guys in, get Johnson up to 92, and just keep grinding Phenoms to get these players again to just evolve and evolve and evolve and get those limited players up as high as you can. That's what I recommend for Phenoms. As soon as the NFL 100 tight ends come out, I'm going to try and snag Gonzalez or possibly Shannon Sharp or another tight end like that. And then we're going to take Jake Butt and throw him into a set. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the stats for Daniel Jones. Now, he is a smash mouth quarterback, which is what I run. Smash mouth generally has a lot to do with scrambling. Think Lamar Jackson. His Team of the Week card was my quarterback for ages, and he was our smash mouth superstar. He had 86 speed, so I'm expecting at least 80, maybe 81 speed. Daniel Jones isn't super fast, but with smash mouth, I would hope they don't do him like they did Matty Ice and give him a really low speed, but smash mouth. So let's see. And he is slow. So, Phenoms, kind of let me down this week, honestly. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into his stats. Maybe his throwing stats stuff can make up for his slow speed. So, he's a field general quarterback, which is a pretty good way to set him up. He has 73 speed, which for Smash Mouth is really low. I know he's not a fast player, but when the Smash Mouth game plan comes into play, you need a scrambling quarterback for that game plan, especially if you play like I do, where you want a mobile quarterback. That's why, for me, jumping from Lamar to Peyton was such a huge change, because Peyton doesn't scramble. He's a pocket passer, and if you get Daniel Jones, he will also be a pocket passer. 74 agility is kind of low. 73 acceleration is low. 90 awareness is really good. He will be able to read defense. He can see what gaps a D lineman's going to shoot. He can see where the linebackers are going to start coming down. He can see where the corners and the safeties are going to go. He can read exactly where he's going to have his receivers going. He can see everything like that. 90 awareness is really good. There may occasionally be a lapse in judgment, but that's to be expected. Now, here are the throwing stats. Here's what's really important. He has 92 throw power, which is really good. 90 throw accuracy short, 90 throw accuracy medium. So those short passes of inside of 10 yards, he's pretty good on. Medium passes like 10 to 20 yards, he's pretty good on those with 90. 85 throw accuracy deep. That's all right. He can throw the long passes, the deep passes. May not be able to make every single one, but he can at least get it in the vicinity of the receiver, and then hopefully you have somebody like Mike Evans or Julio that can go up, make a great grab, and then pull in whatever the slack is from Jones. He has 82 throw on the run, and this kind of goes in with the whole slow speed thing we got going on. Daniel Jones is not a fast quarterback, and he's not very accurate on his throwing on the run, which is unfortunate. Because if you get pressured from a linebacker or from a defensive lineman, you need to scramble. You need the ability to get out of the pocket and get up the field for positive yards. If you have Lamar or Odell's out of position quarterback card, or another quarterback like that that has decent speed, Russell Wilson even's a great example of this. His Smash Mouth 91 overall card is a great example of this. Those kind of quarterbacks are still able to get positive yards even when they're faced with a scramble. Anytime they have to run around, you can usually expect at least 2 to 3 yards. I averaged about 7 yards, 8 yards at least with Lamar. The problem is if you have a slower quarterback like this Daniel Jones right here, then you're not able to do that. You either have to throw it away, 1, which kills it down, or 2, you have to take the sack. If you take the sack, you're guaranteed to lose at least 2 or 3 yards minimum, and that's if he's right behind the line. If he's back in the shotgun formation, you're losing 7, 8, 10 yards at least. If you don't have a quarterback that can scramble, you're losing a lot of yards with this. Unfortunately, that means that if you don't have a fast quarterback, you need a really good offensive line to make up for that and to make sure that he can stay protected in the pocket. Because if anybody breaks through that O-line and you've got a slow quarterback like Peyton Manning or Daniel Jones, he's going down for the sack, you lose yards. Or you throw it away, you lose it down. Either way, it's not a good situation. So this Daniel Jones card, I'm going to try and get some gameplay up on the channel just to see how fast he can get the ball out, how accurate he is on the short and medium routes, which are where he excels with that 90 throw accuracy short and medium. I'm going to try a couple of deep dive passes towards Julio, maybe 1 or 2 on the right to Evans, just see what happens there. But all in all, the Phenoms are not that good this week, which is unfortunate. And they're great players in the NFL, they just don't have the stats they need to be incredibly successful in Madden. They have a smash mouth quarterback at 91. They can't run. They did this with Matt Ryan a few weeks back for Team of the Week, and it was a huge letdown, which I was frustrated about because I was excited to get Matt Ryan as a smash mouth. I thought they might have buffed his speed or something, but they didn't. He was at like 68, 69 speed, something like that. He was slow. And when you run smash mouth, you need a fast quarterback. So you basically have another running back. So if you can't get a receiver open down the field, and this isn't just for smash mouth, this is for any game plan, you need a fast quarterback. Because if you are blocked up downfield, your slots are blocked up, your running back can't get the distance that he needs, you have to be able to get up the field for positive yardage, or you have to lose yards or lose it down. If you have a slow quarterback, Daniel Jones, Peyton Manning, and I love Peyton Manning, I really do, but his speed at 60-something speed is really low. And Daniel Jones at 73 is not much better, honestly. So these Phenoms are great for the limited sets. If you're trying to evolve up like Calvin Johnson's safety, he requires a 91 to go to 92. There's a couple of others like that. If you need a 91 for one of those sets, these are perfect. If you desperately need a quarterback, Daniel Jones is a great one to throw in there. Just make sure you don't try to scramble with him, or if you do, go out of bounds. Because another thing with slower quarterbacks is a lot of the time they're more likely to fumble because they're not built for carrying the ball, they're built for throwing it. So Daniel Jones is a great one if you just want to sit in the pocket and throw. The minute you want to try and scramble, though, he's going to fall apart on you. I've noticed this with Peyton. As far as Nick Needham, he's got pretty good stats in general, but that awareness at 81 is going to significantly impact his value in Madden Mobile. So these guys, like I said, they're great for those sets. They're great if you have a lower elite that you need to swap out for a diamond. Out of these two, I would go for Nick Needham, honestly, because with the exception of his awareness, which, like I said, 81 is really low awareness for a corner, with the exception of that, he's got pretty good stats. If you need someone to swap in, these guys are great for that. They're great placeholders until you're able to get a better quarterback. They're great placeholders until you can get a better corner. Nick Needham, like I said, has really good stats, but that awareness is killing him. 81 awareness is entirely too low for a corner. He can't make the reads on the quarterback. He can't make the reads on the receivers to accurately stop deep passes, and that's going to be a big problem for him. If you get into like overdrive or something, and you're going against somebody that's verticals and they're just going pass the whole time, if they're throwing to his side, 87 speed, there are plenty of receivers, like I said, Brandon Cooks, Tyreek Hill, for instance, they can easily burn past him. And then on top of that, the 81 awareness, he's not going to be able to perfectly read where they're going. So he may cut left and they're going to, cut right or gap over or something. And then you've got a wide open touchdown. And because you're on overdrive, you can't do anything about that. You can't go user him and pull him over. It won't be as big of a deal on seasons, because seasons you can user whatever player you want. If you do get him, I recommend putting him in a nickel or dime position where he may not be there every single time. But don't put him as one of your two main corners, because that side of the ball will get just completely thrown on, just pop, 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 over and over again. Once the player you're playing against realizes you've got a player that can't make the reads necessary to stop the deep pass. So as bad as this sounds, while they are the highest overall Phenoms players, I don't think they're the best Phenoms that have been released. Not by a long shot. I really like having Taylor Rapp on my team, 90 overall safety. He gets a pick or two at least every time I play a seasons mode. He usually gets at least a pick or two when I'm in overdrive or arena. And as far as offense, tight end Jake Butt. Without a doubt, he's the best Phenoms player released so far, in my opinion. And if you're looking for a new tight end, that's where I would go. If you need to evolve limited players and you need a 91 overall, these guys are the perfect players to go for. I think that's part of why these guys were introduced this week, was because we just had a ton of limited pulls from the limited boom or bust packs. And this is a way for us to be able to get them from a 90 up to a 92 without having to go buy a 91. These guys are going to be decent additions to your lineup. They're placeholders. Like I said, they're not people to build your offense or build your defense around. These are players if you just need someone to fill a position until a better card comes out. These guys aren't terrible cards, that's not what I'm trying to say, but they're far from the best of their position. 81 awareness on a corner is pretty rough, and then 73 speed on a quarterback, especially one with smash mouth, which is geared towards running, is pretty rough. Other than that, they've got great stats. Like I said, 87 speed isn't terrible, but it is still kind of slow. And there's a lot of receivers that can burn an 87 speed corner. And then Daniel Jones, he has 92 throw power, and he's got 90 short and medium, which is really good. As long as you keep his passes inside of about 20 yards, he'll be pretty accurate. Outside of that, you start getting those deep passes, he's going to go down to 85. May make a couple of bad reads there, but he does have a high awareness to counter that, so you'll kind of see a back and forth between having a lower deep pass and then a high awareness. They might be able to cancel each other out. We'll have to see how that goes. Like I said, I'm going to try and get Daniel Jones' gameplay up on the channel before too long. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up down below to let me know. If you're new and you enjoy what you saw on the channel today, please go ahead and subscribe down below. We're at 1.04K and growing every single day. And as always, I will see you in the next Madden Mobile video.